Welcome to How to Build a Tent, the podcast on how to make you successful. My name is Matt Williams. Thank you for listening and sharing the show with a friend. We are part of the Fight, Laugh, Feast network. Go over to fightlaughfeast.com. Put in HtB in the memo field. Where's my mug? I don't know where my mug is, and it's all falling apart already. And it's way too late in the day to start over, so we're just going to keep pressing on. Let me tell you, wall mounts are one of my biggest enemies. I just got my new TV in, got the wall mount, got the sound system set up for my room, went to go put it in, and I had the holes drilled completely wrong. And I guess it's not fair to say that that's like putting the blame on me. I didn't drill them wrong. I thought I bought the correct wall mount for the holes that were already drilled from the previous owner who didn't feel the need to patch the walls. And so I thought I was gonna be an easy victory. It's gonna just screw the bolts into the existing drywall mounts and it was gonna be a done deal and it's gonna be easy. And then I went and I put the wall mount up to the wall and it doesn't match at all. Super bummed about that. I might just maybe even give him a call back or give the guy a call and see what kind of wall mount he used and try to replace it with that one because I just do a terrible job. True story. Back in the day in Hawaii, which was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were living in a house that had steel studs, and they put steel studs. I think the main reason is because termites are so prevalent there, and termites won't eat through steel. But a little known fact, steel studs are not really that strong from what I understand. And in fact, when you drill things into it to hold things like a TV wall mount, it's actually better to put it in the drywall. The drywall can hold more and handle more than a steel stud. At least that is my understanding. I am by no means a handyman or I don't know, whatever you would call it, a construction worker, engineer, all of the above that would know more than me about anything that has to do with handiness. So I went to take my stud finder, which I found out later doesn't really work well with steel studs. And I swear I had 30 pencil marks on 2 studs where I thought the studs were going to be there, and I was just going to drill perfectly into the wall, hit those studs, and I was going to call it a day. And so I went to go drill into it, and I just did it with like the bit side I needed to get the drywall mount in, to get the steel stud mount in, and I totally missed a steel stud. I looked through, and I don't even see a stud in even the area. So that gives you an example of how handy I am. If you have any questions, if you want to taunt me, make fun of me for not being a man and not being able to drill things correctly, you can email me, matt@howtobuildatent.com. You can find me on the social media sites, How to Build a Tent. I really appreciate you guys to click the links below for all those social media sites. Just give me a follow, subscribe. Even if you don't usually use the social media platform, it would really be helpful just for me to get those subscriptions up. So thank you in advance for that. Thank you for sharing the show with a friend. I really appreciate that. There's a few things I want to talk about today. One of them is very perplexing to me in the sense of rational world thinking, but it doesn't surprise me because it's coming from the left. And it is, no, not the Democrats' debate tonight or last night if you're listening to this today, because I didn't watch that, nor do I care to watch 10 people talk about socialism and how terrible Trump is and how evil our country is. It's all right. I've heard it before. I don't need to waste any of my time listening to it again. But the left has come out against the website Wayfair, which you may be able to see on my monitor or not, wayfair.com. And I'm just talking about wayfair.com. Maybe you will go see wayfair.com. Maybe you will, purchase something on there just because it will irritate the left. And that is always a fun thing to do. They are upset at Wayfair. And in fact, even the employees are upset, from what I understand, are upset that they are selling beds and other furnishing things for the children that are getting detained at the border. And the left is going nuts about it. And the employees there are protesting, which tech companies, you get what you ask for, right? You live in a world, you create this world of leftism, emotional radicalism that has no grounding in facts, and hey, they're going to turn on you eventually. And that's what we're seeing. So there's, I guess, a little pleasure in that. Some, maybe those companies like Wayfair brought it on themselves. But anyways, I don't get it because, like, what does the left want? What do these employees want to happen? Them not to have beds to stay in? Not to have places to stay? Like, these are children that are being, in a lot of ways, a lot of times, sent by their families. They're alone, sent by themselves. So they're being detained. What, do you want to just have them sit on the ground? They got to be sleeping on something. Why not have your company be selling and purchasing a contract? So I haven't heard exactly what Wayfair is going to do. But if I was Wayfair, this is what I would do. I would donate some more beds. I would donate some more materials and turn this around and say, we don't want any child to be left without a bed. And make it a positive publicity stunt and turn this around to being something that is helping the situation that everyone thinks is heartbreaking. It is the Republicans who want to build a wall and to stop illegal immigration, and the liberals who want everyone to come through the border, the libertarians, and no one should be stopped. We all think it's terrible what's happening at the border. It is a tragedy. I don't think anyone is arguing with that. So if a company is going to sell some products to the government to help make those kids a little more comfortable as they've been sent by their parents up, or maybe they were kidnapped and there's drug and then child trafficking and all that stuff goes on, it's terrible. But if the government could have these beds by Wayfair or some other company, it's not a bad thing. So I think Wayfair should just grab it and own it and then say, yeah, in response to the news that's been coming out, we decided to donate even more beds. Just imagine the publicity they would get from that. And donate some more things, maybe donate some water or some food or some other needs that are happening down there. And just spin it that way. And it would be such a great thing for the people down there, and it'd be a great thing for the brand as well. But whatever you do, I hope this is obvious by now, don't ever give in to the mob. You just can't. It is not worth it. The mob is not as powerful as it seems, first of all. Second of all, you will get a rally of support 10 times stronger than the mob is. And third of all, it's going to be temporary. And the business that you can win by standing strong and holding on to your values will far exceed any penalty or damage done by the mob. I promise you, that's how it always is. You look at the Chick-fil-A's and things like that. The next thing I wanted to talk about might seem kind of strange, and I've been thinking about it, and this is Matt Williams' opinion. And so I'm open for correction. I'm open for discussion on this. Again, you can email me, matt@howtobuildatent.com, and you can find me on social media sites, How to Build a Tent. Or you can just click the links below. And this is my theory that I've been throwing out there. As long as you are worried about people pleasing you, let me start over. As long as you are worried about what people think of you, you cannot love them and you cannot provide them value. As long as you are worried what people think about you, you cannot truly love them and provide them value. And I add that last part for a business aspect of it, is if you are worried, going around worried and fearful of what people think of you, and you are dominated and you are driven by that thing of what people think of you, then you can't truly love them and you can't truly provide them what they need or provide value to them. And you might be saying, that is really strange. Of course you can, and everyone worries about what people think of them. And if you don't worry about what people think of you, then you're just going to be a jerk. No, I'm not saying be a jerk. I'm not saying try to get people to hate you. But this is what I'm saying. And maybe I'll say it like this in a more biblical terms, at least how I understand it. And again, correct me if I'm wrong. As long as you are fearing man and not fearing God, you cannot love them as God loves them. Now that seems a little more sane and real, right? If you are worried about what people think of you, you're not going to lay down your life for them. You're not going to give up something to provide for them. You're not going to be able to give them that agape, that fruit of the Spirit love. And as a business, you're not going to be able to provide them what they need. And we see that when companies give in to the mob and they lose revenue and they lose a base of support because they are weird, they have fear of man, they are worried about what people think of them, and they become ineffective. And businesses become less profitable, and they become less intelligent, they become less strategic because they're worried about what people think of them. And I think that's evident with, for example, another leftist boycott was happening, or a leftist pressure, a leftist mob. Back, I don't even remember, they were going after the NRA, and the rental car companies were giving discounts to the NRA, and then a bunch of those rental car companies stopped giving the discounts because of the mob. And then there was a backlash, and conservatives stopped renting to them. And it happened, I think, with mobile phone services, and so there became like these Patriot phone services, and all of these different kinds of businesses in response that popped up and started to gain traction because of this. And from a personal level too, just one-on-one relationships, God doesn't call you to worry about people liking you, worried about what people think of you. The commandments aren't summed up in how do people feel that you're doing as a friend, as an acquaintance, as even a husband or wife, right? We're not called to make sure that our wives or husbands like us, but we are called to love them, and we are called to serve them, and we're called to be Christ-like towards them. And that's a completely different mindset, because there are times where you need to love somebody and they're going to hate you for it. There's going to be a time when people need to be loved in a way where they're going to never want to talk to you again. And that it takes the form of discipline, it takes the form of honesty, it takes the form of many different things. And you can't effectively disciple somebody, you can't effectively discipline somebody, you can't effectively build somebody up, provide them value. A lot of times, if you're worried about what they think of you, you become ineffective, you become paralyzed because your head is focused on the fear of man and not the fear of God. And the contrast is simple. It's, are you going to obey God and fear him and what he thinks of you, or are you going to fear other people and what they think of you? And whoever you fear more is who you're going to obey. And that is why it's impossible to live the life God has called you to. It is impossible to provide the value that God has called you to bring to people in business, in your personal life, in your finances, if you're constantly fearing people, because you are going to be obedient to the people you fear. If you're obedient to people, if you're a slave to people and what they think of you, then you're not going to be following God. And that's something that you should repent of if you do. And once you start realizing that you need to fear God and not fear man, not worry about what people think, you shouldn't worry. And it's like, even your wife, you shouldn't worry what she thinks of you. I mean, obviously, you want to make sure the relationship is, going well, right? And you want to make sure that your wife is happy and all that, but that's not the driving force. It's, you are called as a husband to lay down your life for your wife, is to love your wife as Christ loved the church. And all those other things of, your wife liking you and your wife having feelings for you will follow that. And vice versa as a wife. Like, your job isn't primarily to get your husband to like you, but it's to serve him and to support him and to submit to him. And your children, and vice versa, like your children. Your goal in life is not to get your children to like you, but your goal is to raise up your children to fear and serve the Lord. And a lot of times you have to do things where they're not going to like you for it in the short term. The long term, hopefully, they will become wise enough to understand what you are doing and thank you for it, right? I mean, haven't we all done that to some extent? For even if some of us haven't had the greatest parents, there's still things to draw from them and to be thankful for. Usually. I mean, I guess there's exceptions to that. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was my Lenovo situation. So apparently, I switched out from the certain cords I had and went to an HDMI. But now my screens are all fuzzy. So now my docking station that I was complaining about before that only supports 2 monitors now does support 3 monitors, but now 2 of them are super fuzzy, and I'm not super technical with all that kind of thing, and I only bring that up because if you have an idea what is happening when you have 3 monitors, 2 of them are fuzzy, 1 of them is clear, why those 2 are fuzzy and how I can fix that, I would really love your advice. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, but it's super fuzzy. It's really fuzzy. We can see Elizabeth Warren during 2020 Democrat debate pushes economic reform efforts, which means she really is just pushing for socialism. I saw Trump's tweet before I went on the air, and he was like, boring. I love it. He is the master troller. It's so great. This is going to be a great election season. I can't wait for it. I hope you can't wait for it either. Now let's go out, fear God, love others, and be successful together. God bless.